1960s soul wasn't just music, it was a movement. A time when the beat of the bass matched the rhythm of change. The Supremes ruled the airwaves. Otis poured his heart into every note, and the young Aretha was ready to demand some respect. These are the 10 highest-selling R&B albums of the 1960s, the records that reshaped sound and soul forever. Number 10, Live at the Apollo by James Brown. The night soul went supernova. It was 1963 Harlem. The lights dimmed, the crowd screamed, and James Brown walked on stage in that sharp suit, ready to burn the house down. This wasn't just another live album, it was a revolution captured on vinyl. Released by King Records, Live at the Apollo turned a concert into a cultural earthquake. At the time, the label didn't even want to record it. Live albums weren't commercial. Brown paid for it himself, and when it dropped, it exploded. Spending over a year on the charts, proof that raw, unfiltered energy could outsell the slickest pop. You can almost feel the sweat flying off the stage, the famous flames hitting those harmonies like gospel thunder. That night, James Brown didn't just perform, he became the godfather of soul. If this was fire from the stage, the next entry brings the silk of pure Motown perfection. Number 9, The Supremes' A Go-Go by The Supremes, Motown's crown of pop soul. By 1966, the Supremes weren't just making hits, they were the hits. Diana Ross, Mary Wilson, and Florence Ballard embodied elegance, precision, and crossover magic. When the Supremes' A Go-Go hit the shelves on Motown Records, it became the first album by an all-female group to reach number 1 on the Billboard 200, an astonishing feat for the time. Recorded in Detroit's legendary Hitsville, USA, the album captured that golden Motown sound. Snappy drums, tambourines on the 2 and 4, and James Jamerson's deep rolling bass lines that made your hips move before your heart even caught up. Songs like You Can't Hurry Love and Love Is Like an Itching in My Heart showed the group's ability to turn longing into dance floor joy.
Mama said, can't hurry love, no, you just have to. Love is like an itching in my heart, had it all the time.
Behind the shine, though, Motown was a machine. Berry Gordy's Sound of Young America in full swing. The Funk Brothers played with military precision, and Holland Dozier Holland crafted perfection in every 3-minute pop gem. The album sold in the millions, proving soul could be universal. From Detroit Sparkle, we now glide to Memphis Grit, where the next album turned heartbreak into history. Number 8, Otis Blue, Sing Soul by Otis Redding, the sound of pure emotion. Released in 1965 on Stax Records, Otis Blue is one of those albums that feels alive. Recorded in just 24 hours at Stax's humble studio in Memphis, it was Otis at his rawest, redefining what soul could feel like. His renditions of Respect and I've Been Loving You Too Long didn't just interpret, they transcended. Otis poured his entire being into that microphone. You can hear the ache of Southern nights, the sweat of a man giving everything for love and truth, with Booker T and the MGs laying down grooves smoother than Tennessee whiskey, and the Memphis horns crying out behind him. This was lightning in a bottle. It became a blueprint for generations, from Al Green to even the Rolling Stones. Otis Blue didn't just sell, it spoke. And if this was the sound of aching heart and soul, the next entry is all rhythm and gospel fire that lit up the charts. Number 7, Ray Charles's Modern Sounds in Country and Western Music. The Soul Genius Redefines America. When Ray Charles dropped Modern Sounds in Country and Western Music in 1962, he didn't just cross genres, he tore down the walls that divided them. Released on ABC Paramount, this wasn't supposed to work. A black R&B artist singing country tunes? Nashville thought he'd gone mad, but Ray knew better. He took songs like I Can't Stop Loving You and You Don't Know Me and turned them into orchestral, gospel-tinged masterpieces.
You don't know me.
His voice, equal parts preacher, sinner, and poet, brought emotion to every syllable. The album soared to #1 on both pop and R&B charts, selling over 1 million copies and proving that soul wasn't about genre, it was about truth. In smoky lounges and kitchen radios across America, Ray's sound united people who'd never sat at the same table before. Modern Sounds wasn't just an album, it was integration on wax. And from one man's vision of unity, we slide into another who gave us the pulse of passion itself. Number 6, I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You by Aretha Franklin, The Birth of the Queen. 1967, Atlantic Records. Aretha Franklin walked into Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals and changed everything. Before this album, she'd been searching for her voice. With this record, she found it. The title track hits like a confessional hymn, soaked in heartache and holy fire. And then there's Respect. Otis Redding may have written it, but Aretha claimed it, turning it into an anthem for women, for Black America, for everyone demanding to be seen. You can almost feel the room hum, the Wurlitzer keys trembling, the Muscle Shoals horns punching through like thunder. It's raw, it's righteous, it's Aretha. The album sold over 1 million copies and crowned her the Queen of Soul. If this was the coronation, the next entry takes us to the Church of Pure Groove, where the Godfather himself leads the sermon. If these albums are bringing back memories of turntables and transistor radios, give this video a thumbs up. It helps keep the soul alive. And don't go anywhere. The top 5 R&B albums of the 60s are where the real magic begins. Number 5, The Temptations sing Smokey by The Temptations, the silken sound of perfection. In 1965, Motown was a dream factory, and The Temptations were its most polished jewels. The Temptations sing Smokey brought together two forces of nature, Smokey Robinson's poetic pen and the Temp's heavenly harmonies. Released under Motown's Gordy label, it showcased the smoothest blend of sophistication and soul of the decade. Every track felt like a whispered confession wrapped in melody. My Girl had already stolen hearts a year earlier, but this album proved it wasn't just a hit. It was a moment frozen in time.
Make me feel this way, my girl, my girl.
Eddie Kendricks's tender falsetto, David Ruffin's grit, and Smokey's lyrical elegance created magic that drifted from radios across America, soundtracking both first kisses and quiet heartbreaks. The LP sold strong and solidified the Temptations' place at the top of the Motown mountain. It was proof that love, when sung with this much grace, could sell millions. If this was love's gentle sway, the next one is full-blown fire on the dance floor. Number 4, The Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding, the soulful goodbye that became eternal. Released in 1968, just months after Otis Redding's tragic plane crash, The Dock of the Bay became both a farewell and a triumph. Recorded on Stax Volt, it marked a shift for Otis, from the gritty power of Otis Blue to something quieter, more reflective. Sitting on The Dock of the Bay was unlike anything else in R&B at the time. Mellow, meditative, aching with loneliness.
I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide.
Otis had recorded it just days before his death, and when it hit the airwaves, it became the first posthumous single to reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. You can hear the waves, the gulls, the stillness between each strum. It's the sound of a man at peace. The album went on to sell millions, becoming a timeless symbol of soul's humanity. If that was reflection and release, our next stop is all about revolution, a double album that brought the stage to the streets. Number 3, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud by James Brown, the anthem that roared across America. By 1969, James Brown wasn't just making music, he was leading a movement. Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud captured the spirit of a new era when soul had found its swagger and its purpose.
Say it loud.
Released on King Records, the album took the energy of Live at the Apollo and infused it with social fire. This was more than a groove, it was a declaration. Brown's voice cracked with power as he shouted the chorus, backed by a choir of young black voices echoing pride and unity. It wasn't just a song, it was a mirror of America's struggle and strength. The record sold in the millions, turning dance floors into protest marches and giving a generation its soundtrack of defiance. From those horn stabs to that bone-deep bass, every second reminded the world, soul music could change things. And from revolution, we move to revelation, where one man's gospel roots birthed a masterpiece of love and light. Number 2, Ain't That Good News by Sam Cooke, the heavenly goodbye before the fall. Released in 1964 on RCA Victor, Ain't That the Good News was Sam Cooke's final studio album, and perhaps his finest. The world didn't know it yet, but this was the closing chapter of one of the most graceful voices to ever touch a microphone.
Ain't that good news, man, ain't that news.
It carried two sides of Cooke's genius, the silky pop perfection of Good Times and Another Saturday Night, and the spiritual power of A Change Is Gonna Come. The latter wasn't just a song, it was prophecy.
A change gonna come, oh yes it will.
Recorded after witnessing racial injustice firsthand, Sam poured his hope and heartbreak into every note. Tragically, Cooke was gone months later, but his voice remained, eternal, aching, and angelic. The album sold over 1 million copies, and A Change Is Gonna Come became an anthem for the civil rights movement. But if Sam Cooke gave us a vision of faith, our number 1 album brought heaven down to the dance floor. Number 1, What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, the soul of a generation. It's 1971, but make no mistake, this masterpiece was born in the soul and struggle of the 60s. What's Going On was Marvin Gaye's answer to a decade of heartbreak, war, and hope. Recorded for Motown, this wasn't the usual hit factory fare. It was something deeper, personal, political, spiritual. Marvin had seen the world change, friends lost in Vietnam, cities in turmoil, love tested by chaos. When he brought What's Going On to Berry Gordy, the label head called it too political. Marvin refused to back down. The single dropped, and the people decided. It soared up the charts, and when the full album came, it became one of the best-selling, most acclaimed R&B records in history. Every song flowed into the next like one long prayer. The strings shimmered, the grooves swayed, and Marvin's falsetto cut through like sunlight through stained glass. This wasn't just R&B, it was revelation. It closed the book on the 60s with grace and fire and opened a new chapter for soul itself. From Mercy, Mercy Me to Inner City Blues, the message was clear. Love still had power, and that, more than any chart or trophy, is what made this album eternal. From the stages of Harlem to the studios of Detroit and Memphis, these 10 albums didn't just sell millions, they defined who we were. They turned pain into poetry, rhythm into resistance, and melody into memory. Thanks for joining us on this soul stroll through the golden decade of R&B. If this trip through time moved you, subscribe to keep the groove alive and never miss our next stroll through the classics. Up next, top 10 worst R&B albums of the 70s. Click that end screen and let the rhythm roll on.